So now what I'd like to do is give you a specific outline of what some potential discovery meetings might look like. And then we'll get really specific and deep dive into each of those meetings to give you some potential questions and outlines and agendas that you might have for these individual discovery meetings. So as part of our interaction model course, I've outlined 4 primary discovery interactions and a potential what I call discovery N, or basically a wildcard discovery of some tips and questions that you might ask if you want to continue discovery past the 4 primary interactions. So let's take a look real quick of what the 4 primary interactions are. So in your 3rd interaction, which is your first discovery meeting, you're going to be covering the prospect's business, their stated needs, and their buying process. Our second discovery interaction, or interaction number 4, so this is going to be the 4th meeting that you've had with your prospective customer, is going to be all about deep diving into who their customer is. So this is all about your prospect's customer. In interaction number 4, we're going to be deep diving into your prospect's customer. So if you've ever developed a customer avatar or a customer persona before, you're going to actually be helping your prospect to deep dive and learn a little bit about their customer. And these are exercises that businesses don't do very often, but when you start doing this with them in discovery, it's going to start showing your prospect that you really know what you're talking about, and you're going to start helping them in their business. So I think you're going to start to see this unfold as I deep dive here in discovery. And then we're going to move into interaction number 5. And interaction number 5 is all about market and competition. So when you get to your 5th interaction with your customer, and this is the 3rd discovery interaction you've had with them, you're going to be deep diving into their market and into their competition. So you're going to be looking at a lot of websites out there that are very similar to theirs. You're going to be looking to see what works and what's not working. You're going to be looking at how their competitors are currently marketing themselves. And again, you can start to see that this is an important aspect of educating a customer of what's possible and allowing them to see potential pains and problems that they didn't even know existed. A lot of times what I would do is once I would get to this interaction, and I'll go into more detail here in a minute, and I would start to deep dive, and I would show a prospective customer what their competition is doing online. A lot of times these huge light bulbs would go off, and usually a little ego would come into play, and a customer would get really excited to know exactly what information I could dig up on their competition. So that's always a really interesting part of discovery. And then in our 6th interaction, we're going to start looking at some potential strategies and tactics. And like I said, I'll get into more detail here in a minute, but the strategies and tactics, it's all about looking at what strategies and tactics they've thought about, what kind of strategies and tactics that other people in their industry or other people out there in the world are potentially using. So this is really not limited to just what they're currently doing or what you currently know about. Like I said, the discovery part of looking at strategies and tactics is really unfolding the onion about what kind of strategies and tactics could potentially be available for that business online. So I'll give you a quick example of what an interaction number 6 might look like. I had a customer once that was a manufacturing customer, and while I always try to look at potential SEO opportunities for driving more traffic to a site, it appeared that as I got into research that a lot of people weren't really searching for this kind of business. And once we started to talk to the customers about strategies and tactics that worked for them, a big thing that had helped them in the past was attending conferences. And so we looked at that strategy of getting in front of more customers by attending their annual or semi-annual industry conferences, and we started to build our web strategy around that conference. So instead of just blindly going into search optimization or email marketing or something like that, we primarily looked at going to conferences and how we were going to build the website to support that type of marketing behavior. Our final video in this section is going to be talking about what I call interaction N. And this basically is further discovery. So we will be going into some additional potential questions that you could ask or go into with further discovery, but usually further discovery exists because something came up while you were going through discovery that really warranted its own meeting, its own space. Sometimes I go into customers' businesses and I realize they have huge technology, logistical issues. They could have issues with their email system, they could have issues with their order fulfillment system, they could have issues with their on-site technical setup, and I might be recommending Google Docs or something like that. And that is getting a little bit away from website design, but there are these opportunities out there that might warrant their own discovery meeting. So a lot of times if I go into a business and their email setup is just like totally jacked up, I might recommend that we have an individual discovery meeting that's just dedicated to email, where we talk about how many email accounts they have, if they have email forwarding, what they use for email clients, what kind of mobile devices they want their email to work on. So in a situation like that, I might have an individual discovery meeting that goes outside of my normal 4-meeting discovery, and I might do an additional meeting to go into more depth after I finish my primary discovery about that business.